His new book is called Happy at Work, 60 Simple Ways to Stay Engaged and Be Successful. And we're happy to have Jim Donovan with us today. Jim, when we take a position in the workplace, we obviously want to be successful there. Is there a definition of success as you see it that we can keep in mind as we sort of, well, you know, head into our careers or maybe even in the middle of our careers?
That's a great question, John. Yeah, I think that, to me, success is an individual thing. There's a wonderful definition that is credited to the late Earl Nightingale, who said that his definition of success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I kind of like that. If I'm progressively moving towards something I consider valuable, not the idea is valuable, I have to consider it because I'm putting the time of my own life in it. That's the investment I'm making. So that, to me, you're already winning. You're moving in the direction you care about. That's a big thing. And I think too many people get caught up in other people's definition of success, and they go out and they try to model that, and they wonder why they're not happy. You really have to come at it for yourself. That's why I'm big on creating a vision of what you want in your life. What do you want? Not what does everybody else want?
Mm-hmm. You'll study, work hard, and you'll be successful. Is there a place for that kind of thinking anymore?
Oh, of course. Yeah, there is. I don't know about the work hard part. I think work should be definitely work, but I don't. If it's hard, you're pushing against something. I don't know about that unless you're doing physical labor. That can be hard. That's hard work. The information worker is not working. Shouldn't be working hard. It should be just flowing if you're ideally in the right place and the right energy. But yeah, you have to study and work and learn and do things. Everything comes with a price. There's a law of cause and effect that you don't hear talking about all that much, but it's like gravity, law of attraction, all the other things. Everything has an effect. Every effect has a cause. So if you want to create an effect, and everything that people want in their lives is just that, it's an effect. If I want a new car, that's an effect of something. I take action, I do something, I make a contribution to society, they give me back little pieces of paper with pictures of presidents on them, and I go and I give that to a car dealer, they give me a car. And that's kind of the flow of it all. So it's important to understand that. Yeah, you have to work hard, but you should find joy in your work, you should find pleasure in what you're doing. And try to move toward that. It may not be utopia when you start now, but you can move into that place. I'm in that place. I started this journey 28 years ago. And I have been in this place for about 15 years. I've offered speakers, coaching, whatever else. Just keeping busy, doing something. But doing work that I care about, that I'm motivated to do.
Yeah. Speaking of all those years ago, you had a very difficult start, I think, in life. You had some very hard times, and then you were able to turn things around. Talk about those times and how you got things on the right track.
Yeah, and it wasn't, you know, I wish I could say I had a tough start in life, but I did. I had it pretty good. I rose to a pretty high level in the broadcast television industry, and one of the pioneers in corporate video. We pioneered the use of video in communications in business and companies back in the 70s. I was at the peak of my game. I was the young entrepreneur man about town, and I really got caught up in all of my destructive habits, and I was just like out of control for about 10 years after that. Until I finally couldn't take it anymore. And I went through every imaginable indignity, being homeless, being thrown out of apartments, and phones turned off, not eating for days, and there's all kinds of cool stuff. I don't recommend it anymore, but it was something I had to do to become who I am today. That's a big part of why I do the work I do. Yeah, I like money, and I love selling. The fact that people buy books and can learn from it, change their lives for $15 and a pretty cheap price to change your life. I invested heavily in books and audios, and it's made me who I am today. It's been a big contributor to that, a big proponent of that. I had to first go through my own crap and kind of get a handle on that, but when I did, I got hooked into personal development. I became a student of it from 1986 to 92. I just studied and learned from seminars and everything I could do. And as I was applying the principles, my life kept getting better. It's like, oh, there's a connection here. I can figure this stuff out. And I started writing and just give back and share that in 92, and then became a book, and then I changed it. Here we are. This is my sixth book, and I'm going to bring this message to people that aren't getting it in the workplace. If they were, they wouldn't be so unhappy and disengaged. And it bothers me that people aren't happy at work, because I don't think they should be. I don't think they want to be. I think if they know how to change, they will. A good majority of them want to change. They want to feel better, find ways to feel better. That's what it's about.
Well, with all of the lead time that we usually have in choosing career and then search and interview process, how do we end up in such soul-deadening positions that can actually be harmful to our health?
So
Well, we have, we spend a lot of time when we're younger. We get a lot of input. We check out a lot of avenues as far as careers, and we go through the search and the interview. We ask questions and we learn things, and yet we end up in really soul-deadening positions that can be very harmful to our health. How is it that we make those choices when we've had so much information to start?
That's a really interesting question that nobody's ever asked that I know of. I think a lot of it, if I off the top of my head, I'm guessing that is because people were sold a bill of goods. They tell kids go to school and study and become, pick the career and become a this because they make a lot of money. I knew a young woman that was going to college, and I said, "What do you want to do with this education you get?" So I want to make a lot of money. I said, "Okay, well, what do you want to do?" So, "I want to be in real estate." I said, "Okay, so how much is a lot of money to you?" I had to kind of pull it out of her. She just did that arbitrarily because she thought she heard that people in real estate make a lot of money. Or people go into law because lawyers make a lot of money. The reality of that, and most of my adult life has been spent in my own business in one form or another, working with small businesses and businesses of every size, personal development. But a lot of that has been with people that just went out and did things that they wanted to do. They didn't chase money. They didn't chase the job. They didn't go after to make a lot of money. They did it because they had a passion for it and they had a caring for it. The money became a byproduct. I can point to people. An example. Everybody has their local pizza, right? We got Vito's Pizza down the street. Vito's happy. He's got a pizzeria. Everybody's good. Kids are working there, having a good time. On the other side there, you have Papa John's. Same thing. They both make pizza. Right? Papa John's got I don't know how many places, 1,000, whatever. So it's never about the job. It's always about the individual. And if we started teaching kids and coaching them with that, saying, all right, what do you enjoy doing? If the kid says, I want to play in a band, don't say you can't make any money at that. No, don't tell Mick Jagger you can't make money playing music. I was making money at 18. I was earning more money than my father playing in a band. It's a reality. People do it. Does everyone do it? No. Should every kid have a plan B if that's your route? It can be a tough road, like an author or an actor or anyone else. But if that's what you really care about, find ways to move into it.
Are you?
I could go in. Those would be some of the questions that they should be asking students, people instead of, what do you want to be? Put them in a box. Part of the problem is keep trying to put people in boxes. Take them out of the box, they work a lot better.
I'm going to guess that you're okay with, let's say, doing work that maybe we're not crazy about in order to support maybe a part-time job that moves us closer to what we like. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah. I mean, you're gonna do. We've all done things or will do things that weren't our favorite things to do. Like I said, in between my becoming a famous author and speaker and all of this stuff, I've done all kinds of in-between stuff to keep the bills paid, keep food on the table, keep everything moving forward. Because it's never as easy as it looks. Anybody tells you it is hasn't done it. Ask people who've done it, they'll tell you the real deal. But you find a way to enjoy whatever you're doing. Find some meaning in it. I won't do anything, and have never done anything in my life that I could not feel good with. Because I never went against my own values. That's another big piece. I'm going to point to bring that into happy work. You have to know your values. You got to know what matters to you at the bottom line. What do you want to put your life on the line for? And then you look at what you do in work-wise. A lot of people are way out of whack with their values. And they're in conflict, and they don't know why. Why? Because you have this internal conflict between what you're doing and what your internal system says is important to you. That's a big piece. In the meantime, you find whatever it is you're doing, do it well, do it the best you can. Get engaged with it, because the more engaged you are with your work, I don't care if you mop the floor. People mop floors. I'm glad people mop floors. Keeps places really clean. Whatever it is you're doing, the more you're engaged with it, the more you're going to enjoy it. You're going to get some satisfaction from it. Disengagement is not fun. Disengagement is staring at a wall. It's like just you see people in mental hospitals doing that. It's not a place to be. It's not a place to live. We deserve better. People deserve better at work than everywhere else.
Is that what you call taking ownership of your work?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And I got that. That was instilled in me at like 14 or so. First job I ever had, I was 14. I was cleaning jealousy windows in a luncheonette. And those windows were the cleanest windows in town. Not because I wanted to impress the boss, and not because the luncheonette was all that important to my future, but because my name was on it. And this work represents me. I connected that, and I brought those values forward with me. Great assets. You got to have people start owning their stuff, take responsibility for your job. If you make a mistake, okay, you make a mistake. Ask me how many times I've screwed up. You know, we don't have enough time to go through that. I'm sure it isn't that long. But I'll own it. All right, I made a mistake. Fine, move on.
Mm.
So let's not beat people up for making mistakes. Deadening said that probably 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah. So self-love is going to come into this as well. I mean, you've got to cut yourself a break.
Yeah, well, that's the big ill. I mean, we all know that the big societal ill is low self-esteem.
Mm.
We attack that, everything else is not coming up. I try to work that into it. This book is personal development. That's my favorite. Because I know from my own experience, from being at the bottom and having my life go sideways, and I know that the more I worked on me, the problem isn't the world, folks. The problem is not outside of you. The problem is you, in your life. Learn how to recreate what you want in your life instead of what you don't want. You get more of what you want and less of what you don't want. And it starts coming together. I'm like, wow. I mean, there are days I just pinch myself because I'm living a dream. I'm living something I defined over the years and fine-tuned over a period of 25 years. Where I am right this minute. It wasn't an accident. I didn't just land here. I crafted it. It's what I wanted for me, not for you or anybody else.
I like that you bring in universal law, and in particular law of attraction, one that comes into play here. You refer to it quite often in the book. How can we use law of attraction to make change in our work conditions?
Well, I start out with what do I want? And then how can you move toward it? Here's a really cool thing about law of attraction. There's at the vibrational state, the vibrational level, there is no difference between imagining something and having something. Right? In the subconscious mind, there's no difference. And you can use that. There was a story one of my coaches said about a woman that wanted a fur coat. Right? And she said to her, well, what will this fur coat represent to you? The woman said, well, it will represent, what's the essence of it? What's the feeling of it? The woman said, luxury. The coach said, well, what else could you do that would feel that way? She said, well, I can take a bubble bath. She started doing that. She started increasing her own self-care. Her company simultaneously had some recognition thing for their top distributors. It was a direct sales company, and gave all the top performers fur coats. Okay. It took me a while to that would unravel around my head. But if you think about it, she was in that the energy of luxury, which fur coats represented luxury. So at that level, there's no difference between luxury and the bubble bath and luxury and the fur coat. And it's what Esther Hicks talks about. If you can manifest a button, you can manifest $1 million. It's all the same on the creative plane. You start using that, you start seeing what you want to have in your life, you start moving toward it, pay attention because things will start showing up. You start finding ways, what's working, what do I like about my job? Everybody's coming from the negative side. This is the biggest problem. You can't hate something and move from it. If you hate it, you're attached to it as long as you're hating. If you're pushing against it, you can't get what you want by pushing against what you don't want. So the first thing you do is start to appreciate the job you have, or the relationship you have, the car you have, the whatever you have, the present. You have more is given. We have gratitude, more is given. So you start there and say, okay, what's good about this job? What do I like about this job? That will move you toward what you want. You start where you are and define what you want, and then it's just a matter of following steps in between. And looking, undoing some beliefs and stuff that get sidetracked. But for the most part, what most people never even get to is, where am I and what do I want? Where do I want to go? Like a GPS in a car.
Mm-hmm.
So you give your mind the instruction, here's where I want it to be, here's the vision, create the vision, create a picture, what you want your life to be. And starting from where you are, move toward that and always look at what's going right, what's working, what's good about this, what's positive about this. Because you can't attract positive from the negative energy. Contradiction.
In a lot of conversations that I have with people, they'll tell me, I don't know what I want. And personally, I don't think that's true. I think everybody somewhere in their fiber really knows what they want. Do you agree with that? Or do you think people are just afraid?
That's probably some of it. I mean, I know there are people that will not articulate what they want, because once they do that, then they'll have to really own wanting it. I mean, it's like the woman at one day in the post office. I was doing something on goal setting, and she said, well, I never set goals. And I said, well, why is that? And it was weird, because she was in Mary Kay, and they're all taught to set goals and read personal development. There's all lots of books of Mary Kay people. They know personal development works. And I said, well, why don't you write your goals down? And she said, well, because if I set goals, then and I don't get them, then I'll have failed. I said, sweetie, if you don't set it, you definitely have failed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You don't have any chance of getting there. If you set a goal and you don't get it, all right, you readjust something, your time frame, the goal, whatever. You figure it out, you make it work. You know, I set a goal one year to read, I think it was 24 books. Right? Yeah, I was going to read 2 a month. And I didn't reach it. But you know what? I read 19 books. Most people haven't read 19 books in the last 19 years.
Very true. Very
Just
true.
by having the goal, I did more than I would have by not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you don't reach the goal, let's say you move, you do something. I mean, that was not an important life thing, but I think that's some of it, is people are afraid to say that. But it's also, when I've taught that, when I've taught to examine, you know, there was an exercise I borrowed from Jack Canfield, Mark Hansen, from one of their earlier books, Coaching the Soul, and they said that, you know, write down 101 dreams, 101 wishes. I challenge people to do that. It took me probably a week to get a list of 101 together.
Yeah.
After the first 20, you ran out of things. Everybody wants the same 10 things. I gave you a blank check. What would you do? Well, I'd get a house and carve it up, and up each house and this and that, and plate. Then what? And you got to dig into what really matters to you. It's a great exercise to do. You're both really good teachers. It's a great exercise.
Yeah. Looking at a few of the individual ways toward happiness at work, you talk about dealing with difficult people. Often management figures can be a big part of job dissatisfaction. Is there any kind of rule of thumb we can keep top of mind when we're around these folks?
Well, just as a person, I think the big one is that other people deserve your respect. Whether you like someone or not, they're still a person. They have rights to be respected. That's kind of the bottom line. How to behave in the world. I think from there, it's just something that's worked well for me throughout the course of my life. Is I have this innate ability. I think I got it from my mother to find something in someone. It's like I'll find the one thing that is good about them, or the one thing I could like, or maybe learn something about it. Find some common ground with the person. You know, maybe we both like the theater, or maybe we both like opera, or fly fishing, or whatever. Shooting people in the dark or something, but find some common ground with the person. Now you've got a place to start from. You find, most people, and I believe this in my heart, that most people are basically okay. Most people don't. I mean, yeah, there are people that are a little annoying to be around, and there are some flat-out criminals. I mean, I do a volunteer program. I've been doing for 18 years, going through prison on a regular basis. It's not a big deal. There are people there that don't belong there. There's plenty of people there that do belong there. But at the bottom of the core, when you scratch through it, most people are basically okay. They want to be. We're wired to be good. We're wired to do good in the world. We're not wired to do bad things and criminal things. We have to go against our innate nature to do that. The only reason people do that is because they don't believe they have an alternative. If they understood that, they'd find out how much easier it is to do it legally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone does that because they want to be. It's not our nature.
Workplace gossip can be hard to avoid, but you say we must do that. What are some ways to disengage without alienating people?
I would say don't even be a part of it. Don't be all around it. If people start telling you gossip, just politely say, you know what, I really don't want to go into that. Whatever you do, don't be one of those people. You know, my thing on gossiping is when the person is not with you, what are they talking about? Someone else, who are they talking about? The old fellow said the other day, the old adage that if you live your life as though you could sell the family power to the town gossip. And I think now, and I see it's happening in companies, in the workplace. I'm not projecting this, but I wouldn't be surprised if people start classifying gossip as a form of bullying at some point, because it can be emotionally bullying. Someone just went through some very difficult stuff with that in the workplace. You know, I guess there now we're talking about people getting fired over things. You know, we're coming into a very delicate time for the human race. We're learning a big lesson about how to get along, but through it, we're finding out things that we just can't. People have been doing probably for centuries, and they can't get away with it anymore. So much transparency. There's so much going on. You know, there's the cheerleader that's suing the website because of someone's comment on the blog. It's like, wait a minute, the website had nothing to do with the comment, but they encouraged her. She won in court. It's like, wow, that's got all the Google people up in arms. So we're reaching a place where, hey, we just got to learn how to get along here. Stop all this nonsense, backbiting, gossiping, keep fighting. No time for this. We're in a situation where, especially in the United States, we've got to change the economy. You mentioned at the beginning the $550 billion in lost productivity every year according to Gallup. That's crazy. We can't sustain that. We've got to do something about that. We don't have time to be gossiping at work. We've got to pull people back together, get them on the same page. Either get on a page or go somewhere else where you'll be happier. You do what Amazon offered warehouse workers $5,000 or $6,000 if they wanted to leave. They didn't do that out of the kindness of their heart. They did that because somebody in the accounting department figured out it was cheaper to pay them to get out of there than it was to have them there pulling the rest of the company down. That's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
One story yesterday about a company that got rid of their energy vampires. And it's funny because I have a chat today. Stay away from energy vampires. They found out 10% of their staff were those big people. They got rid of them. And retention and productivity went up 25%.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. So now in the bottom, this is now moved over to the accounting and the strategic planning department. It's not about being happy anymore. It's about making more money.
Oh.
Like, have people be happy. And the cool thing is, with that mindset, everybody wins. Right? You feel better, you're happier, you're doing better, you're doing more work, the company's making, everybody's getting ahead. The quality of products goes back where it belongs. Okay, there's a whole issue. We can do a show on that. Let's raise the quality. I wouldn't put that of American companies because it's dropping down.
Mm-hmm.
We got to bring that back up. I think it's a pregnant thing.
Well, I know you speak to companies on increasing employee engagement and productivity and happiness. What are some of the things or questions you're hearing from either or both sides about what's going on in today's workplace?
Well, it's a disconnect. And I hear it more from, I work primarily with team leaders, supervisors, first-line managers, people like that. I'm happy to drill it down, but there's a level down to where companies can't really spend the money anymore, or they won't spend the money. But they can take the tools. They can take what's in the program, the books, and the seminars and whatnot, and take it down and work with ask people about it. I think it's just bringing people back in. Someone said the other day to me that people are losing hope in the workplace. That's a scary word, hope, losing hope. Been near hopeless. And it's a horrible place to be. Because I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. I don't like it here, I hate it here. If I get a job down the street, it's going to be the same thing. That's a terrible place to be. And then she felt one of the things she liked about Happy at Work was that can help restore the hope. We got to just bring people back together. So let's get back to why we're here. What are we doing? Why are you at this job? Why did you go to work this morning to begin with? That was one of the Zig Ziglar's great questions. Why did you go there? Why did you go there in the first place? Why did you take the job in the first place? And if you're really that unhappy, how can we help you move to someone who's happy? Or how can you make yourself happy? Maybe even within the company. I know someone very close to me that had that happen. They were just going, they had to get out of there. And they're a high enough level, and they brought them in and said, well, what's going on? He told us, and they rearranged his job. So where everybody was happy.
Well, speaking of...
we want people to be happy at work, right?
Yeah.
Title's not an accident. That didn't come from me.
Yeah. Well, you talk about bringing people back in, and I'm looking at companies, especially tech types, that offer things like game rooms and more comfortable workspaces. Do you think these contribute to happiness, or might they just be diversions that only keep us at work longer?
That's an interesting question, because there's a company near here that's like a baby Google. They're an email provider, email marketing, really wonderful group of people. Their employees are really well cared for, and they're really happy. They just built a brand new 70,000 square foot building, and it has the game room and the media room with this 10-inch TV screen. You can sit on the couch at lunch and watch a movie if you want. Just all kinds of little breakout rooms on the floor and whatnot. I'm sure that contributes to it, but I know that what's more important, because I pick it up there and I know the people that are there, is what's coming down from the top, what's coming down through the teams and the management, and the caring that they have the people that work there. I'm not staying in a miserable job because you got a pool table. The bar's got a pool table.
That's right.
There. So there's got to be something. Yeah, it's nice if companies can do that. In certain job categories, I think you expect that. Like you said, in the tech space. I think that's part of why they did it. If you want to get those high-level code cutter people, they expect the Google environment. And is that a sense of entitlement? Yeah, sure. If you get away with it, good for you. Some of the companies picking you up at the bus stop, taking you dry cleaning and doing that for nothing. Hey, More power to you. And they're good, and they're okay doing it. They offer it to you.
Yeah.
It's not like the union people on the heads do it. But in most industries, that hasn't gotten to there yet. But so it's not just that. Does that help? Sure, it helps. But so does an employee of the month parking spaces. And people have found how much more satisfaction and job performance goes up when they do little things like that. Just recognition is the number one thing people want. Period. Across the board. All people, but people in the workplace especially. And studies that have been done have proven that people will choose recognition over money, over financial reward. They would rather have to be recognized. We need that sense of contribution. We need the connectedness. Again, we're back to what George Carlin used to call a little amoebas running around the planet. We're the people who are put in this game. And the part of us, no matter how much technology we have, is the part of us that needs that human connection.
One final question and we'll wrap it up. For those of us who are now in a really difficult work setting, is there a phrase or a thought or a trigger that can sort of pull us back towards centeredness or serenity right in the moment?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a couple of things that when I was hanging by my fingernails got me through. One of them was the phrase, "This too shall pass," although nobody wants to hear it when they're in the bad part of that. Just remember that also passes during the good part. The other one, and it comes out of the 12-step community, is the serenity prayer. Accept the things I can't change, change the things I can, and have the courage to choose the things I can, and always do the difference. So I got to look at the situation and say, what can I change in this situation? And work from there. Again, it's about, to me, it's always about empowerment. It's always about more control I have over my circumstances and my life and everything in it, the better I feel and I'm happier I'm going to be. And as I know mental health people talk about that. As some locus of your locus of control has something to do with your degree in perceived mental health. I'm not in that field. I don't drill into that. But I know that things work better when I feel like I have some options. So what are my options in the situation? And it's always in a workplace when it's that bad. Maybe you just need to walk out the door. I've done that. I don't recommend walking out into the abyss. Better than having a heart attack at the job. People who have done that. It's a personal judgment call, but I think you can usually, something got you there and keeps you there, and try to figure out what that is and work from what's back to what's good about this, what I like about this, what's working. And how can I use that? What are my options? There's always options. If you're in the job, what are you looking for? Where can you go from there? Or maybe you need to learn something. Maybe if you have certain training, certification, or whatever, maybe move to another department. There's lots of things people will do, and most companies, the better companies, will work with their people. And employees don't realize that the cost of replacing people, and the higher up you go, that number gets pretty hefty.
Yeah.
You start talking executive search and high-level management. What do you, the mid-level manager walks out the door. It costs me $17,000. These factors all play in.
All right, where would we find?
The companies want engaged employees that show up on time, do a job, care about their job, do good, we'll pay you, you do your job, we'll do ours, and everybody should get along. We did that in the last century. I don't know what happened. Yeah. But we sort of lost touch with it.
The old paradigm, I guess. Yeah.
And it's a two-way street. The company has to care about people. That's got to go back over. That pendulum will fall the other way.
Yeah. Where would we find your website?
JimDonovan.com. JimDonovan.com.
All right, we learn more about the book and getting the book there. Yeah. Okay. Well, Jim, thanks for spending the time with us today and shedding some light on these really serious topics. If you have anything more in the works, do come back and talk to us about it. Any more books or projects coming up for you?
Oh, I'm always doing something, John.
Okay.
I appreciate being here today and you're having me and taking the time to talk to me. Helping me get the message. I know you're doing your part in this whole picture of, we need more people on this side of good, more people on the side of positive change.
All right, Jim Donovan, the book is Happy at Work, 60 Simple Ways to Stay Engaged and Be Successful. Thanks again, Jim. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day.